Alright guys, I got another video for you. This time we're working on creating some save points. These save points are going to be useful for creating a game, and sometimes in games you want to save where you've been and what you've done, and you don't want to keep having to collect the same coins over and over, or travel the same part of the game over and over. You want it to remember where you were from one point to another. Alright, so I have a scene here, and the way it works is you have your little skeleton. He runs around and he can collect the coins. If you go into the portal, it takes you to another level. You can collect the coins here. But if you go back and it takes you to back to the first level, the coins that you collected before have returned and they're not saved. So basically every time you go into the room, the same number of coins have to be collected. But we want to remember the coins that were collected previously. We don't want to switch back and forth to the room and the coins be all missing or still there. In the bottom right, I've got two buttons, a load button and a save button. We're going to make these buttons work. Right now they really don't do anything. Let's go to Game World 1. And we're going to click on this script up here. And we've got some stuff to look at here. So we've got some stuff to look at here. The first thing is a save path of where we want to save our file. And then we've got the coin holder. That's this guy over here on the left. And if you open that up, you'll see a bunch of coins held inside of there. And then I've got a couple of lines here. One of them says operations and one of them says helpful file access methods. If you open up the operations one, you can see a website, and you can copy that, and you want to take that to the internet and see if you can't find that page. It should take you somewhere right here. Alright, this is a website that shows a really simple example of how to save and write to files. This is by Kids Can Code. This guy makes good Godot videos. I used to watch him. Anyway, let's take a look at this webpage here. This is where a lot of the information we're going to use comes from. It says you need to save and load local data between game sessions. That's exactly what we're doing. And he's going to use file access. And he also tells you some warnings here. User data should only be stored in the user path. RES will work in the editor, but whenever you export the project, RES becomes read-only. So you want to use the user folder. So you'll notice here on mine, I used the user folder for user. And I chose my save file name is called World 1 Coin Location. Then he's got some different types of file access. You have read, write, read and write, write and read. So this should be very similar to what we were doing with our address book. We were reading and writing and saving people's names to the address book. We're going to be doing the same method here in Godot, except for we're going to be using the coins location as what we want to get saved. We've got a couple things here. We've got store a variable. We've got get a variable. We also can write, we can store strings. We can store floats. We can store entire variables, this is probably the one I want to do because we got a bunch of information we want to save. Okay, so if you take a look through this, this is what we're basically going to be doing. Ours is going to be a little bit different, but these two basic concepts right here are what we're going to be using. So you might want to keep this off to the side. That's what I'm going to keep off to my side on my other monitor over here. Okay, so each one of these functions here are connected to those buttons. So if you click the load button, it will try to play this function, and if you click the save button, it will try to do this function. This one said, oh, we also want to close the file. I don't know why I didn't write this there, so I'm going to go ahead and write close right here. All right, let me put that here. Make sure the file is closed. All right, so on our world here, if I run it, if I click the load button, you'll see it says file does not exist. And if you click the save button, it should create that file. And then when you click load, it should say file now exists. Well, where is that file? Where did you save it, Mr. Eversole? Up here at the top, you can see the save path is the user folder. Well, what in the world is that user folder? The user folder is based upon what type of device you're on. In Windows, it's in app data. In other things like phones and stuff like that, it could be stored anywhere in any number of other places. But let me show you where to get to that file in Godot. If you click on Project and you go to Open User Data folder, it's going to take you to a folder like this, and you can see there it is. You see this name right here matches that. It says world1 coin location.txt. And so this is world1 coin locations, and it is a text file. When I open up this file, you will see that it says save this info. All right. So that's not super helpful, but it does show us that we can create a file and we can store something in there, right? So if I come down here right now, what we're doing is we're going to this file path, which is this guy up here, and we're opening it for write privileges. And what are we writing in? Well, we're storing a string, which is words for humans, and the words we're storing is save this info. If I wanted to store something else, I could say the dog is really big and he is also gray. I don't know, whatever. I just picked a color. Alright, so now if I run this again, and if I hit save, it's going to save into that file my new string that I just wrote. The dog is really big and he's also gray. Okay, so that information is not super useful, but it is our first step to doing this. So what are we doing? We're going to, we're creating a file, and we're going to the file, we're opening a path, and we're opening it up for write privileges. Now, sometimes there might not be a file at all. So like, let's say the file doesn't exist, but then whenever you hit save, what does write do? If because I'm using this write operation here, it says open the file for writing. If the file, it says creates a file if it doesn't exist. So if it doesn't exist, it's going to go ahead and make the file for you. And if it does exist, it truncates it, which basically means just forgets that whatever the old stuff was, it drops it, gets rid of it, doesn't care about it. You can also open up a file for reading, which is what we'll do over here. We need to read our file so we can see if we actually can read what's on there. Let's go ahead and start with that. Why not? Let's say some information. We'll make a variable. We'll say var our files info, and we'll make it equal to nothing. So there's nothing in there, an empty string. And let's go to the file. So we have two here. So you'll see that when I run this program, I have no file here. So if I click load, there is no file. File does not exist. Okay. So we need to click at least save one time. That'll create the file. So there we go. The file's there now. And if I hit load, it will say, hey, the file does exist, but we didn't tell it to do anything. All right, so let's tell the file to do something. Let's go to the file. So I guess we actually need to open the file first. So we'll say, let's say var file is equal to file access dot open. The file we want to open is at this location right here, our save path. This is our location to the file. And what do we want to do? Well, we want to read it. So we're going to open it up for reading. So we'll say file access, read. This allows us to read the file. Allows us to read the file. There we go. So now file just got opened up at this path for reading. Okay, so I could say, let's put the info from the file into this variable here. So we'll say files info is equal to file dot, and then you can see there's a lot of different things you can use. But if you scroll down, you can see get. There's probably one that says get string or something. Let's see if I can find it. Get as text. Let's try that one. Get as text. So this goes to the file and gets the info as text. Then let's close our file. So we'll say file.close. Now we close the file. There we go. And let's just print what was in there. So print, this is what the file contained. And I'll just use my variable here, because what did we do? We went to the file and we got it as text and we stored it into files info. And let's just print it out. Let's see what's in there. All right, so let's run our stuff here. So if I say load, this is what the file contained. The dog is really big and he's also gray. Awesome. So if I wanted to change something else, I could change this and I could say my house is red. I could play it again. Now watch this. You know I changed that right there under the save, but if I hit load, it still thinks the dog is really big and gray. The only way to get that in there is if I click save, then it'll save the my house is red. So if I click save and then I click load, now the file says my house is red. Okay, so what we're going to want to do is we're going to want to store the locations for each one of these coins inside of that text document. That will help us so whenever we play the game, we can load the coins in the right spot. All right, let's take a look at some of the stuff that we can do here. Let's look at this thing, and it says you can store a float, you can store a string. It says you can save data using a specific data type, float, string, or etc. You can use the generic store var, which will use Godot's built-in serialization to encode your data, including complex data like objects. More on this later. We're going to use that now because we need some complex data, sorta. We really just need the location of each coin. So we're probably going to use this store variable here. That's what I think we should probably use. Okay, so where is our coins? Well, if you take a look in the coin holder, you can go to a coin, any coin. You can pick any of those coins. Each one of those coins has a X position and a Y position. It also has scale and all kinds of stuff, but the one we care most about is the X and Y position. Maybe we care about scale. I don't know. Maybe we'll mess that up. I don't know. But if you take a look at any of these, they all have different locations, and those locations are what's valuable to us. So there's a bunch of different locations. So we want to grab each one of those locations. All right, so let's go back to our script here. All right, so when we click the save button, what is the information we want to save? Well, we want to save the coin's location. So we'll say var coin locations are equal to, and I'm going to put a list in here. This is an empty list. And presumably inside of this list, I'm going to store the different locations for each one of my coins. So maybe it would be something like, it might look something like this. And I don't know. I'm just making up stuff, but I'm trying to give you a visualization. So maybe you have one coin like that, and then maybe you have another coin like this. I don't know. Whatever all those coin locations are, and they're just all going to be listed out in here. But for right now, I'm putting an empty one in there. Okay. So we're not really interested in storing just a random string. We want to store all the locations of these coins from the coin holder here. So the coin holder is right here. This guy, the coin holder, he holds all the coins. So I'm going to grab this. I'm going to say for coin in coin holder. Now, coin holder is just this node. We really want to get the node's children. We want to know all the children. So I'll say coin holder dot get children. Okay, so this goes to each coin. This goes to each child in the coin holder one at a time. All right, now we can let's just print off the different locations so you can actually see what I'm talking about. I can say print coin.get or .global position. Okay, so this goes to the coin holder's children, and one at a time it grabs each coin and tells me their global position. All right, let's see what that's what's going to happen if we hit the save button. So let's watch and see what happens there. So if I hit save, there's all the positions for all of those coins, each one at a time. It's pretty useful, huh? All right, now we need to store those into this coin location here. Okay, so we got all the coin positions. We printed those out. Let's see. So looks like that. Good. Now let's start putting those positions into this array here, this list. Right now it's empty. So for each one of those positions, I'm going to say coin location dot append. This is just like we want to add some information into this array here. And I'm going to add, what do I want to add? Well, I want to add the coin's position. So one at a time, it's going to add the location to the array. So now my array is going to be filled up with all of these locations one at a time. Okay. All right, so let me comment this guy out. And now, so this guy right here, it's got all of our locations, and this for loop, it goes through, it does all of that. Now we want to put that information into our file. So I'll say file dot store. Look right there. Look at all these different ways we can store stuff. And I was telling you that I wanted to use the store variable, so let's do that. Let's store this variable, and let's store the coin locations. So put the variable coin locations into the file like that. All right, then we close the file. All right, so I've got all this extra information here. I don't like deleting stuff anymore. I kind of like leaving it for you guys to read. If you want to delete it, you can. But we went to each coin, we grabbed its location, we appended it to this list, then we dropped that list into the file, and we closed the file. Now this time it's going to get it as text. So let's see what it says now when we run this. I don't know what it's going to say. I haven't done this yet. If I click load, it says there's nothing contained in the file. Let's click save, and let's click load, and it's got just a backslash. It doesn't show very much of anything. Let's take a look at the file in our data spot. Let's see what does it look like. Ooh, there's a lot of stuff in there. But why did it only print a backslash? Because those things right there, those aren't really text that it can read. It's encoding it as a variable. It's picking up this backslash right there, but it's not getting any of this other stuff. That's because there's another way to read this file. So we want to read this file not as text. Let's get this file. Let's see. .get. Let's see. Get variable. Look right there. So we'll go to the file info, and we're going to get it as a variable. And this one is a list, so let's also make this a list too. So we'll say this is an empty list now. So we got empty list. Like that. So we've got our empty list. And then now we're grabbing that info, and we're going to grab it as, goes and gets the file as a variable. And this is what is contained in the file. Okay, let's see if this works. So let's do load. Oh, looky there. Look at all the beautifulness of this here. We got them all written there. All right, let's see what happens if we collect some of these coins. Let's collect a bunch of these coins here. I could probably collect them faster, but whatever. Y'all might be faster than me at collecting these coins. Alright, so I'm getting all the coins. I'm going to leave a few on there, but I'm going to make a lot less. So you can see how many coins are stored in there right now. Alright, so I can hit save. Now it should remember a different set of coins, so let's hit load. Look at how many coins there are now. Definitely not as many as there were when we started. So now we have a different set of coins that are saved. Now these are just locations for the coins to be placed. So we would want to write another function that whenever the person clicks load, it erases all the coins and then puts down the coins in these exact locations. Alright, this is where this video is going to end. We'll probably pick up again maybe next week. I'll make some more, or maybe I'll just make another video now. But anyway, that's the end of this video. Hopefully you guys learned how to use this, and you can play around with it a little bit more if you'd like. Feel free to read this entire document, and we can also try to add this into our games. Hopefully this helps you create some cool stuff later on in the future. Alright, you guys have a good day. I'll talk to you later, and I'll see you in the next one.